Hello and welcome back to La Matique. This week I was going to show you how I store my scraps. I know a lot of different people have a lot of different ways to store their scraps, and over the years I have had a lot of different ways to store my scraps too. Eventually I came to this system that I use, and this seems to work best for me, hoping maybe it'll work for some of you too. Okay, so while I'm working, I have a tray usually next to me or around me, and I throw my scraps in this tray. And when it gets, like this, where it's over full, I take it and I file it away. Let me move this. I use one of these portable file systems. It's a portable file box. So this one has a lid, and inside there are file folders. Now in my file folders I have, like this one is random paper, but like I have different sections for each color. So here's all my white scraps, and I haven't gone through them yet. Here's my red and pink, and I've recently gone through these, and I just keep red and pink in one spot. And then I have yellow, and if you see, I have all different kinds of scraps. So it's from regular paper to scrapbook paper to cardstock, pieces of dyed paper. Everything goes in here, no matter what kind of paper it is. So any kind, cardstock, paper, all of it goes into it in the color it is. So I've got green, and then I've got blue and purple and black. Back here I store my pieces of plastic. This is how I store all my scraps. Now, when this becomes too full, which it recently had, which is what made me want to make this video, is because it recently became too full, like the white is getting too full. But sorry, what I mean by too full is like I couldn't put any more scraps in the folder. It was taking up all the space. There was no extra room. When that happens, I like to take out my Big Shot, which is a die cutter press. It uses the thin little metal dies in that. And then I use this system where I take all these little containers, which this is a system so far that I've found that works for me. Now, I know these containers could be something better. This is what I have for now, and this works for me. I just set all these on a shelf, and then I have them all separated by color. So like here's pink, here's red, and then I just die cut. Let me open this one for you. I just die cut a lot of the real like everyday usable dies. So there's like little tags, stamp die cuts, random little die cuts sometimes from a project, or I might have just been trying out the die. So just all different, whatever die cut is made of. Like this is made from laminated. I think it's a laminated flower, and that's the stem. So I just put all these die cuts in here. This is wrapping paper. But again, like I said, I use mostly the common dies. So things you can use in almost any project. Labels, stamps. I have some hearts in there. And it is all different paper. Some of them are even like sticker. This is actually a sticker. So that is actually a sticker cut out of foil that I die cut. And I just put them all in there together. And then when I need some for a project in certain colors, I just pull out that color, because I do a lot of work by colors. Like a lot of my books have a color theme, and I try to stay in my color theme. But I just cut just a lot of usable, like if you ever watched my junk journal flip throughs, I will tuck these little tags in that in every little paper clip. So I just cut a lot of usable shapes. Like I said, you'll find some random, sometimes shapes. The bunnies I think I cut out for a project. What I don't store in here are any pieces that have multiple pieces that need to be put together to make any die. These are just like the simple one-piece ones. There are a few that are considered stackable in here. Like I have these I have a set of these labels, and they have inner pieces and decorative pieces, and I will just throw those in the same. Like this one can actually be used as the middle, but it can also be used by itself. So I just throw all those in, just die cut all my extra pieces, and put them away in the little container for later use. I do leave some behind, like especially like the pink and red is kind of full. So what I leave behind though, a lot of times now, what I leave behind is just nice pieces with no die cuts out of them. Now there will be a few in here because I have tucked some away again, but they're mostly just nice little strips of pieces that I could die cut from, or that. See, like I didn't do the white, and there's a lot of like where I was cutting dies out, but there's a little bit pieces left where I could cut another die, so I'll just stick this in here at the time, and then like I said, when it gets too full, I will take all those out and just bring out my die cuts and do a mass make, basically. Like a lot of my mass makes are like that, where they're just a bunch of die cuts, a bunch of dyed paper, because I like to make a lot of the things I put in the journals individually for each journal to really match the journal. So this is like I cut something out to use it. Some of these I may not have used and they're in the container. And then I'll leave this and I'll come back and I'll die cut whatever fits there as well. So the white I didn't do, so you'll find a lot of these where it's just parts of a die cut or leftover pieces of paper I've cut. There's a piece of tissue paper. I mean, everything goes in here. Any kind of paper. Like I said, I do keep my plastic remnants separate because I do some laminating to use in journals occasionally. And sometimes I use, which I think there was one in here. Let me move this again. Occasionally I will die cut some of the plastic. Like here's a plastic tag, and I will include those in my journals in that. So I have a lot of that plastic stored in the back, but then like I said, I just take it out by color and I just die cut and throw them in here. Now you'll have some papers sometimes where there's two different colors. I'm trying to find one. Okay, so here, like this one. This one is, I believe this is some, like a coral of some kind that I cut from a book page. And on the other side, it has a different kind of coral and different colors. So what I'll do is whatever way I die cut it, I will put it in that color. So if I die cutted the red on top, I will put that in the red. And you can kind of tell there's usually like a little like bevel to the edge, and you can kind of tell this one is not, like I didn't die cut it this way, I die cut it this way. I mean, you can still use it this way, it doesn't really matter. But that's just how I choose to store them, this way. There's no arguing about what color it is or which box do I put it in. I just use the upside color. Now recently too, these have been getting to where they're kind of overflowing. So I think I'm going to put up some little packages on my storefront where you can get a package of these random dies. Just random little die cuts by color. So whatever's in the red, like here's a pretty little one. Whatever's in the red, you would get like 100 of these. Not all the little tiny ones, but you will get some tiny ones. Like these are smaller. And then like even down here, I have some really large tags. So they would be all different sizes, paper, color. Well, not colors. It would all be in a red, but it is different shades of red if you look at it. You got different shades of red. Like I said, scrapbook paper, cardstock. That's cardstock. So yeah, and even like a little bit of plastic sometimes sticker materials, vinyl sticker materials will be in there. So I was thinking about putting these up, just a random pack of die cuts. I was thinking maybe like 100. might be a good one. So I'm still thinking about that. I got to figure out exactly how I want to do that. But maybe you could let me know if that would be something you'd be interested in purchasing. Or like how many in a pack would you be interested in? Or, you know, like how many would you want to get for what kind of price? But they're all just very usable pieces. They're not part of something that you got to put 3 or 4 pieces together to make the full die cut. Like I said, there are some pieces that can connect together, like this piece can also go on a background like this, or there is a smaller background that fits it better. And then there are the little circles that go inside, but they don't have to be done that way. They can be used as individual pieces too, but I'll have none of those pieces like 3 little pieces that make a house and you've got to have all the pieces together, and then you may not get the pieces because it would be just random, like packed as ordered, and I would just grab a handful and start counting out 100 pieces like so and send you 100 pieces. I will try not to send too many little tiny ones, but the little tiny ones are really good to work with. I love the tiny ones. But yeah, I thought that was kind of a good idea because I start to get, obviously, way more than I'm going to use anyways. I do use them in every journal I make. And then sometimes I even cut for specific journals. So there may be, like I said, some bunnies or some ghost or something random in there, but not parts of a die. You will have to be able to use whatever piece I gave you. So I think that was pretty easy. This really works for me, that I take my scraps when I'm done, sometimes each project. Sometimes it gets to be a little stack like this, and then I just file them away. Like this would be pink. This I would put in the pink probably. This would go in yellow, blue, pink, whatever the majority of the color is. Blue. That's a small one. That's one of those ones I probably might throw in with a bunch of colors, but I mean, you could put that in white, blue. That would go in the blue. And then, like, a lot of times things that I mess up on, like this was one of my prints I did before. Sorry. And I messed up on, you can see this one, I messed up on the background. So I'll take this and I will just die cut some shapes out of it. And then wherever the shape is, if it's here with mostly the red, I'll put it in the red. If it's here with mostly the green, I'll put it in the green. But this whole sheet I would put in the green most likely. And then when I die cut, if it was more red, I'd put it to the side and put it in the red box. That would go in the pink box. This would go the blue, red, or white, so I would have to decide maybe white for this one because it is mostly white. And yeah, then I just take them, and there's all kinds of just like pieces of book pages. I just put them all in the same thing as long as they're not plastic. Like I do have some, like here I laminated a doily, and I didn't end up using it. I will just throw this in the file box with the other plastic pieces or other lost the word, other laminated pieces. See, I have a folder here with laminated pieces, stuff that was laminated, and I will just take this and put that in the folder with the laminations, and then that's filed away. And then like, so I would just take my pieces, and like this one is mostly orange, so I find my orange and I put it in there nice. White, put in the white. The pink, like I said, I keep the pink and red together, so I just put that in there. I do get some like little strips. I'll throw those in the white for now. Most likely those are just going to go for die cuts though. Like I said, I have this whole page that I didn't like the way it came out, so I will just stick it in the green for now. And then depending on what comes out when I die cut it, I will change the color if I need to then. I don't know if there's any more examples of where I might switch the color later. Or like sometimes when it's a double-sided, do I have any double-sided pieces to show you? If it's a double-sided, I might over here, hold on. If it's a double-sided color, do I have any double-sided colors right now? Here's a piece. This side is purple. Then this side is random colors. Most likely when I die cut this, I will just die cut the purple side up. Now I might die cut this side up, and then this I'd probably just put in a random little container with random colors. I have another little container that I just put the random little colors in. But yeah, whatever side I die cut upward is the side. Like, obviously, I'm not going to die cut that side up, but say I did die cut this side up, then this would go in like the white. But this would go in probably the pink or the green. But usually by the pink, because if I'm looking for, flowers are always going to have green, so I'd put this in the pink. So there's like, you know, sometimes you just make a decision on the fly there, but this system has worked really well for me, because if I'm looking for just a little piece of paper to throw in, like an offcut to put in the book, in the color of the book, I could take, like say I was doing a blue or a black book, I could take this piece out. This piece I would probably file in the black for now. I could take this piece out, cut out what I wanted, die cut a label or whatever, or I could just cut some off and put that in the book as a scrap piece, a cut off piece, for them to do whatever they want with. So yeah, I think this is, I think that's about it. How to, you know, me explaining what I do. But this system, like, I've had all different systems along the way, where each kind of paper type was separated, or, like, you know, everyone starts with just one box full of scraps, and that gets to be too much to dig through and stuff all the time, because you've got all these little tiny pieces, and you're just looking for some big pieces. So, along the way, I started filing them by color, and that just seemed to really work for me. Again, that's might be because I do a lot of things by color, but if you stay to a strict color palette, this might work for you too. And then, so this works, like, even when you just want to make something out of your scraps, you know, if you're doing a pink and green journal, you can just grab the pink and the green scraps and use those, and then you just take the whole folder and put it away when you're done. This works really well for me too, like I said, because I usually work by color. So it just happens to work out for me. I'm looking for a piece of, even like if I'm making a background to a card or making something, if I'm looking for a piece of black or blue or green, I can just go in there and be like, oh, this is pretty, this will work in the book, and use this. Or like if I don't have enough paper of one color, I can go in there and die cut some things out of it to fill up the book with, or that, because I like to always, I use a lot of die cuts in my junk journal, and making a lot of my crafts too, so I'll keep shiny bits like this and cut pieces out of it. That's a really pretty color. But yeah, this works for me. Maybe it'll work for some of you too. I hope you find it somewhat useful. Thank you for watching. Have a great day. Bye-bye.